My brothers and sisters, sometimes life places us in situations we never asked for, moments that shake us, delay us, or even break us for a while. And naturally, we question, why me? But what if that very moment you are running away from is actually a blessing wrapped in difficulty? What if the pause, the delay, the hardship, the loss is a doorway to something you cannot see yet? We look at life only from the surface, but the Almighty sees what we cannot. He knows what lies beyond the curve of the road, what harms us, what protects us, and what elevates us. When something is taken away, it doesn't always mean you are losing. Sometimes you are being redirected, protected, or purified. Sometimes the moments we call hardships are actually the turning points meant to elevate us in ways we never imagined. When something painful enters our lives, our first instinct is to resist it, question it, or label it as a punishment. But not every difficulty is a consequence, and not every tear is a sign of failure. Many times, the Almighty places us in challenging situations so that we grow, soften, mature, and return to Him with deeper sincerity. A blessing does not always come wrapped in comfort. Sometimes it is hidden behind discomfort, because that is where the greatest transformation happens. Think about the moments in your life where you became stronger, not because everything was easy, but because something tested you. Those were the moments that shaped your character, refined your heart, and brought clarity to your purpose. When a person loses something they loved, they may feel as though the world has closed in on them. But often, that loss removes what wasn't meant for them, protects them from harm, or creates space for something far better. When a relationship ends, it may feel like rejection, but perhaps the Almighty saved you from disappointment, betrayal, or heartbreak in the future. When an opportunity slips away, you may feel like you missed your chance, but maybe that opportunity would have brought more stress than benefit. When you face delays in your plans, it could be that the timing wasn't right, and the Almighty wants to grant it to you when you're more mature, more grounded, and more capable of handling the responsibility. These are not punishments. They are blessings dressed in wisdom. We just don't see the bigger picture in the moment. Sometimes the hardship itself becomes the blessing because it turns you back to your faith. It makes you call out to the Almighty in ways you never did during your moments of ease. It makes you reflect on your life, your choices, and your priorities. It cleans the dust off your heart, reminding you that you are dependent on the One who never leaves you. Without that difficulty, you may have never developed patience, humility, compassion, or resilience. Sometimes hardship shakes you just enough to bring you closer to the path you were always meant to walk. That alone is a blessing greater than any worldly comfort. We often forget that this world is not designed to be perfect. It is a place of tests, growth, change, and lessons. If every day was smooth, if every wish came instantly, and if every dream unfolded exactly as planned, we would become arrogant, ungrateful, and detached from our purpose. Hardship grounds us. It reminds us that we are human, that we need guidance, that we need the Almighty more than anything else. And through that realization, our hearts soften, our perspective shifts, and our character deepens. What seems difficult in the moment might be preparing you for a blessing so immense that you would thank the Almighty for every second of that struggle. Sometimes the blessing is not in the outcome, but in the process itself. The journey teaches you perseverance. The waiting teaches you trust. The struggle teaches you sincerity. Every tear washes away a layer of pride. Every setback removes a layer of ego. Every disappointment redirects your path to something better. You emerge from the hardship not as the same person you were, but as someone wiser, stronger, and more connected to your Creator. That transformation is a blessing that cannot be measured. So the next time you face a difficulty, pause instead of panicking. Reflect instead of complaining. Ask yourself what could this be teaching me? What could this be protecting me from? What could this be preparing me for? And remind your heart, not every hardship is a punishment. Many are hidden blessings waiting to be discovered with patience, trust, and a heart open to understanding. When a person truly understands that the Almighty sees what they cannot, their entire outlook on life begins to shift. Human vision is limited. It sees only the present moment, the surface of the situation, the immediate emotion. But the Almighty sees beyond the scene. He knows what lies ahead, what lies within hearts, and what lies beneath the layers of every event. When something happens that contradicts our plans, we panic because we think our way is the best way. Yet how many times in life have we looked back and realized that something we desperately wanted would have harmed us, burdened us, or taken us in the wrong direction? The delay you cried over may later become the moment you thank the Almighty for. The opportunity you lost may have saved you from a setback you never imagined. The person who walked away may have walked away from a chapter that was never meant to be part of your future. His plan is always perfect, even when it unfolds in ways we cannot understand. Often, the human heart becomes attached to a specific outcome. We decide for ourselves what success looks like, what happiness should feel like, and what path we believe is best. But the Almighty, in His infinite wisdom, may close certain doors because He knows the unseen consequences. He may not allow a certain job because it would corrupt your character. He may not grant a certain relationship because it would break your heart in the long run. He may delay your provision because He wants to grant it to you when you are spiritually and emotionally ready. What we see as a rejection may be protection. What we think is a loss may be a gift. And what feels like a setback may be a setup for something far greater than we imagined. Sometimes the Almighty's plan involves detours that our minds cannot grasp. A person may go through disappointment after disappointment, and they begin to wonder if something is wrong with them or if life is unfair. But the truth is, those disappointments could be redirecting them toward a place where they will shine brightest. A person who loses a business might discover a talent they never knew they had. Someone who didn't get the job they hoped for might end up in a career that brings them far more fulfillment. A person who faces repeated delays may find that those delays aligned them perfectly for an opportunity that came at the right moment. Life is full of hidden blessings, but we only recognize them when we trust the one who arranges them. When a person stops fighting against the divine plan and begins to surrender to it, a sense of peace enters their heart that no hardship can shake. Trusting the Almighty does not mean you stop trying. It means you try your best and leave the outcome in His hands. It means believing that even if something does not make sense now, it will make sense one day, when you look back and realize everything was placed exactly where it needed to be. The events that seemed chaotic were, in fact, beautifully arranged. The things that felt heavy were shaping you. The moments that felt confusing were guiding you. This trust becomes easier when you remember that the Almighty loves you more than you love yourself. He knows your weaknesses, your fears, your hopes, and your struggles. He knows what is too much for you and what will strengthen you. So when He withholds something, it is not out of cruelty, it is out of mercy. When He delays something, it is not neglect, it is preparation. When He gives something, it is always at the perfect time and in the perfect measure. So remind your heart, the Almighty sees what you cannot. His plan is always perfect, and your role is to walk with trust, patience, and gratitude. What confuses you today will make sense tomorrow. What makes you cry today may be the reason you smile in the future. Surrender to His wisdom, and you will find peace even in the midst of uncertainty. Gratitude and patience are two qualities that transform the way a person experiences hardship. When a challenge enters your life, you can either allow it to break you or allow it to build you. And the difference lies in how you choose to respond. Many people go through difficulties feeling only the weight of the moment. But when you approach the same situation with gratitude and patience, something remarkable happens. The burden becomes lighter, the heart becomes calmer, and the mind becomes clearer. Gratitude does not mean you are happy with the difficulty. It means you acknowledge that even within the struggle, there are blessings you still have, lessons you are still learning, and a Lord who is still taking care of you. Patience does not mean you feel no pain. It means you resist the urge to panic, complain, or lose hope. With these two qualities, every trial becomes an opportunity instead of a setback. When a person cultivates gratitude, they begin to see their challenges from a new perspective. Instead of focusing on what went wrong, they find reasons to appreciate what is still right. If you lost something, gratitude helps you notice what you still have. If a door closed, gratitude makes you aware of the many blessings already open to you. Gratitude turns the heart away from despair and toward hope. It reminds you that even in moments of hardship, the Almighty has not abandoned you. He is still providing for you, still protecting you, still guiding you. A grateful heart becomes resilient because it understands that blessings don't disappear simply because one thing went wrong. Gratitude anchors you when life feels unstable. Patience, on the other hand, gives you the strength to endure until relief arrives. Trials are not meant to last forever. Every difficulty has an end, even if you cannot see it yet. But what allows you to reach that end with dignity and strength is patience. It prevents you from making hasty decisions driven by fear. It stops you from saying things you will regret. It keeps your heart steady while the storm passes. A patient person does not collapse under hardship. They navigate it with calm determination. Patience turns pain into wisdom, waiting into growth, and struggle into a spiritual journey. When gratitude and patience come together, they become a powerful formula that transforms the hardest moments into opportunities for growth. A person who is grateful sees the good, and a person who is patient endures the test. Together they turn a trial into a turning point. Gratitude teaches you to appreciate the hidden blessings within the hardship. Patience teaches you to wait until the blessings become clear. Gratitude keeps your heart soft. Patience keeps your heart steady. This combination protects you from hopelessness, anger, and despair. Think of the people who came out of hardship stronger than before. It wasn't because their trials were smaller than yours. It was because they approached them with the right mindset. They didn't let difficulty blind them from the blessings around them. They didn't let delay shake their trust. They didn't let uncertainty break their faith. Gratitude made them see purpose, and patience helped them reach it. Many times, your greatest growth happens not when life is comfortable, but when life challenges you. You learn things about yourself, about your relationships, and about your Creator that you never would have learned in ease. Gratitude and patience allow you to benefit from those lessons instead of being crushed by the struggle. So when the next hardship comes, slow down and reflect. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is this teaching me?" Instead of complaining about what you lost, thank the Almighty for what remains. Instead of becoming angry about the delay, trust that the timing is being perfect. Your response to hardship determines the outcome of the hardship. With gratitude and patience, even the most difficult moments can become doors to growth, healing, and blessings. Trusting the process is one of the greatest gifts you can give your heart, especially when life feels uncertain or overwhelming. When a person truly understands that they are not walking alone, that every moment, every tear, every delay, And every challenge is part of a divine plan. They begin to experience a deep sense of peace that no worldly event can shake. Trust does not remove the storm, but it calms the heart within the storm. It does not erase the pain, but it gives meaning to the pain. When you rely on the Almighty, you shift from asking, "Why is this happening to me?" to "What is this preparing me for?" And that shift alone opens the door to resilience, clarity, and inner strength. When you trust the process, you allow yourself to breathe even when you cannot see the full picture. You understand that every phase of life has a purpose, even if that purpose only becomes clear years later. Many times, people look back at moments that felt unbearable at the time and realize that those moments shaped their character, protected them from something they did not see, or positioned them for a blessing they could not have imagined. Trust becomes easier when you remember that the Almighty never lets a difficulty come into your life without placing within it something that will benefit you. Whether it is growth, wisdom, strength, humility, or a redirection that ultimately leads you to something better. Some people experience restlessness because they try to control everything. They want life to unfold according to their timeline, their desires, their expectations. But the truth is, the more you try to control every outcome, the more anxious you become. Trust liberates you from that burden. It teaches you that you can put in the effort, you can make sincere prayers, you can plan responsibly. But the final result is in the hands of the one whose knowledge is perfect and whose mercy is infinite. When you trust Him, you begin to let go of unnecessary fears. You stop replaying worst-case scenarios in your mind. You stop comparing your journey to others. You stop feeling defeated when things don't go your way because you know the way is being guided by divine wisdom. Trust does not mean passiveness. It does not mean sitting back and waiting for miracles without effort. It means doing your best and leaving what you cannot control to the Almighty with an open heart. It means working hard while understanding that acceptance of His plan is far more valuable than frustration over your own. When trust settles in the heart, gratitude grows, patience strengthens, and peace becomes your companion. Even in moments of darkness, you begin to sense that there is a purpose behind every step and a blessing hidden behind every difficulty. Sometimes the peace you feel from trusting the Almighty is the blessing itself. There are people whose lives are full of ease, but whose hearts are restless. And there are those whose lives are filled with challenges, but whose hearts remain calm because they know who is in control. Trust aligns your heart with the reality that whatever happens is ultimately for your good, even if you do not recognize it immediately. It reassures you that relief will come at the perfect time, that doors will open when you are ready, and that every setback you face is preparing you for something greater. If you look at your past, you will find countless moments where you survived what you thought you wouldn't. You grew through things that once scared you. You found strength you didn't know you had. All of that was part of a process that led you to who you are today. And the same Lord who carried you through those days is carrying you now. So trust the process, trust the timing, trust the wisdom behind every event, and trust that the Almighty is guiding you in ways your mind cannot comprehend. With this trust, even the most confusing moments become stepping stones toward peace, purpose, and blessings.